ehia oso a ye ne free the mind movement the two wise men no asan ehia biom Ofapoku Dankwa executive director Edema Free the Mind Movement watrase Owura Israel Nkroma coordinator Edema Free the Mind Movement ono so watrase brother Ediko ewa ha so ono so bo echidom moral support ni nyina no ode dom yen crew ni nyina aye krado ntie de nkomo ebedie no etia wape said ye hya ase na aye ne mo bonkomo abusa se anye bia papa e friend say Abraham ne mba no Isaac ne Ishmael hwan no de no bo afode no ye cheche mo abedum pempenso aye ma ti ase se ene democracy aka esoma hye nti esoma e wose eso enka anya cheche mo ama o se mebre ne nyame ya doma ibitu apo eti Ofapoku Dankwa atrase no raise and chromatron CD de mehwe anim so be yaba me an so be pin ye television set no na wa fa telephone wa frodu an maka chom se bre na so to bi antwimpiri na asempa ye nkwaje asem a ede ekọ ahini papa nim no omo emomode ntwimpiri no metie bi midi ene yawo odame kodua Nimakwe bo echi dom ye di dwuma di ebra no ye Israeli consult ana fe eye ebani hebala ode hepa plus na plus pavilion plasma se ba dwa so abapamo enso ka ho se download the app ni bi ene onso trafie na timito nyema ho do app nyina bi meka se dwuma di ye die no text line ye di dwuma no 0200 421 0200 723 eno ede text line de adwuma na sa text line no message ade befa so nyina no normal SMS short message service ni bi we enya WhatsApp into send ya fa WhatsApp ya de fa no normal text message or the ban ya kama 0200421723 ni akenkan ede amount bi papam adwatode ahodo nyina ne bebon dawura ma ho na Israel consult say me kan jo say ye books ahodo ni nyina no ebi ay krado entibre pam ebe chechori nyina mu mako na de ope ede atono oharo so won tu eka bi mame van kai boy entwam ansa na afi yakowura Israel na afi Ofapoku na ya hyenko na se ni nyina na se nyame eya adom a eye forisi obusunyomi e ne de to so aduonu na me 24th April that is Saturday di eni mo eban nyame ede yankwa che ne ati ase sada na ye nyina ye de yani ebe che eye sehwebekwai bia from Queen's Hotel on conference ho ane kwakochia and it's ye Hebrew Israelite for more sehwebekwai no ebomoden a organize Shabbat classes from kokra na one more moto mo sa from no ebi no branches out on beba ni bi no wasa achechire afi sehwi asan so wasa ankase ana bogoso na afi takwa enti bomo moden se mo betumi ababie na ebre no anopa no du pepepe na ya trase na sama daba maso a yebesua ho ade no ye say the end of this world ewiase we awieye ye be ma ho tete abe ma wa sua ho ade se wo pese wo frɛ na agimu nchemu yi na wo so timi kobia wo be frɛ owura kodwo amprofi e wo 0244 086 337 0244 086 337 wo frɛ no a obadwo so nka bo ye be koso asisu biem kopem se ye be so redwuma de so wo fa Poku Dankwa yaw afe yawe na say hia biom sawa onim na so ye be kajagum wafe yawe bamba obisa last ko kasem bi sa asem no na chese na nya o se bibia na ekuni se o kasem se awia na nyame ayi wadom na wanya wakodomkua bi na wo hu fifiri esogu ni so wase no akan na maniko sie ni wia na Africa mo mama Africa bia yi ye kiawo ofa ye ba sha se free ho said the last week o boy en komo no o de be ko etika kra bi wa sami ni nyina app na fe wo de wura ene di ni yo ya me dasi na de di kan ye be chia ahefo nyina ahefo jonso na media to so say ene kwan bia so no topic we the baby betinete okay ye nya kwan free ade foforo so ase okay na last week mo no na ya futuo yare ensunsanso a ene homosexuality lenam yare yodium onyintum mumai abanintum na nhihye yenya space yenso ene de ne kan de na enso so no yare e de ba no
Any the any empesi
sir
and ne two for say one more quadri more channel or my veterans no adane wo mo nsanwe adane wo mo drugs adane wo mo enema bebre if you say depression isolation any you can bipolar cramp
yes bipolar
seni nyina no wugya nipa no hono no nko atewa na saa yare no bi aba anye depression na ya isolation na no so ko ba dia na chezo wa hu se na mid kra me ba be ye den ana die kra am de mu be shemu na minim sese ne be wiwi me nka ma anye the last week the end na ya futu ene no ya wie wo mo nsem no ka ye ko ba bi foforo
okay
na afia di bibia ba bibi na de wo mu ni say democracy ba ye no ama wiase enyina ya be gia tum say hey ade papa bempa kan bi mami kan bi pa de ba ni adwen ko so say de ye no ye cassette ya obo ade ye ko atia obo ade na abeka ya 205 Condoleezza Rice ano ye UN Secretary of State osa kasa bi earlier no e kan say democracy ko ibiase nyina 205 eno sa ba be kasa e say baby say reforms take place in the Arab world. Now reforms no na kofa Arab Spring.
Yes.
E buy. Arab Spring na dey no mo pe. Democracy. Yempe dictatorship wia yempe we dey there ensem dey omo kan bebre. And from one country to another. Starting from Tunisia. Now for starting say spread coffee for Egypt nyina but ne pese yedi kan Condoleezza de ntia
okay
odi we kan say reform amakama
I say Rice calls for reforms in Arab world 22nd June 2005 graphic and this has me by I see US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice has delivered a forceful call for democratic reform in the Arab world in a major policy speech in Cairo. She admitted that for more than half a century, the U.S. Pursuit of stability in the Middle East at the expense of democracy had achieved neither. He said, and I quote, "Now we are taking a different course. We are supporting the democratic aspiration of all people," unquote. She called on Egypt to ensure its upcoming election was free and fair, and she criticized both the Egyptian government and Saudi Arabia, the next stop on her Middle East tour, for cracking down on dissenters. She said, and I quote, "For 60 years, my country, the United States, pursued stability at the expense of democracy in this region, here in the Middle East, and we achieved neither," she told an audience that included government officials and academics. Her speech to an invited audience at the city's in C. Okay, I think it's a Hannah C. Okay, it was a message free her. Ms. Rice referred to U.S. President George W. Bush's second inaugural address, in which he said his aim was to help people find their democratic voice and not to impose a U.S.-style government on them. I quote, "Throughout the Middle East, the fear of free choices can no longer justify the denial of liberty," unquote. And I quote again, "It is time to abandon the excuses that are made to avoid the hard work of democracy." Of Ambachome de Banwasi. Last paragraph from say, "It is time to abandon the excuses that are made to avoid the hard work of democracy."
And now, if we want to do 2011, Arab Spring,
yes,
the buy no article being so hard no more. The best all kind this first paragraph. How can we are?
Okay,
and no say the
we say from Tunisia to Egypt through Yemen. Future
paper
Ghanaian Times, Friday, July 8, 2011. And on the buyer. I say from Tunisia to Egypt through Yemen, Bahrain, Syria, and beyond. Momentum toward recrafting state structures and governance systems has reached unprecedented levels in the Arab world, starting uniquely as agitating for economic welfare satisfaction. The Arab Spring has metamorphosed into demand for regime change and or drastic constitutional reforms. But as these demands spread, architects and leaders of these changes, no matter what forms they take, gradualist democratic change or radical overhaul of the Middle East dynastic systems, will face a host of pressing governance and constitutional challenges and questions. Of our also.
Wow. The more kind the idea say democracy also in the Arab world.
Yes.
A copy. A copy when I know you say democracy abenti. Ma o mo nko mosque.
Okay.
O mo pa. Na so din nyina achi no. Wo mu na ade atum say afa edie. Ye pede democracy.
Yes.
And this is a democracy dia. Any dictatorship, any sa niema hu a mo dia betena so nyina ye nyim free ho.
Okay.
And the first video for the day.
Your first video for the day. Is it
reality check?
Yeah, reality check. Islam is compatible with democracy.
Yes.
Okay. And no any video why edikaya yehwe no ene awie wake up Africa Juba dey so because aka will say Hepa Plus no ebi e wodwa so so na Pavian Plus mo so no ebi wodwa so but yenko video nimra ye ba ye beka ho asem e dey a kire mo. Reality check. Islam is compatible with democracy.
Muslims, Islam, democracy, elections, they just don't go together, do they? At least that's what we're told by some of the faith's biggest critics.
Most Muslim countries are dictatorships. There's no democracy.
But look at the big picture. Sure, the Arab world is home to plenty of kings, emirs, generals, dictators, but the majority of the world's Muslim population doesn't actually live in the Arab world. In fact, it's the Asia-Pacific region that's home to 62% of all Muslims. And of the top 5 countries in the world with the biggest Muslim populations, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nigeria, not only are none of them in the Middle East, but they're all democracies too. Flawed democracies, yes, but democracies nevertheless, in which hundreds of millions of Muslims regularly go to the polls to elect their rulers. And support for democracy goes beyond these 5 countries, as the pollsters from Pew noted in their exhaustive study of 39 countries and 38,000 Muslims, quote, most Muslims around the world express support for democracy. And yes, that includes those ordinary Arab Muslims, yeah, the ones living under kings and generals. Remember 2011 when people across the region rose up in the Arab Spring?
On n'a pas peur, pas le terror, pas le dictateur.
But Arabs prefer a strong man in charge, right? Wrong. Between 54 to 81% of Muslims from 5 Arab countries said they support having a democratic government over a leader with a strong hand. Just look at Tunisia, which sparked the Arab Spring. Tunisians ousted a dictator, passed a relatively progressive constitution, elected a president from a secular party, and chose a parliament comprised of both secularists and quote-unquote Islamists. Then there are the 50 million odd Muslims living in the West, most of whom seem perfectly happy to vote in and even stand in free and fair elections. The new directly elected mayor of London, one of the world's biggest, greatest cities, is a Muslim. In 2015, the UK increased its number of Muslim members of parliament from 8 to 13. Canada elected 11 Muslim MPs in the same year. And in the US, which has 2 Muslim congressmen, Muslim voter registration is up ahead of the presidential election. So the next time some pseudo-expert tells you Muslims don't like democracy or Islam is incompatible with democracy, remember the hundreds of millions of Muslims, in fact the majority of the world's Muslims, who prove that expert wrong.
Right, Entabusia and sama ye share ho eye kasafonyini na hwe se the logo that's from Al Jazeera na de kanyina ne se na so because Muslimi for enje eye kamamika bi democracy na ntuma ayentro ese nipa pepe ni akiri ana mo ye Muslimi for wiasa fa na nyina omoje nkramosom tum wo hwe Yohan Chichemu ahodo a na free Egypt Tunisia ene amahodo no so eba na dad fefe se nkraboma ahodo bi abekoso bia ne mudodo no a ana age eye kadmam kabi no atumu over anyasa
enu a pepe
no ano no
enti no se democracy yaji atumu dia yaji human rights ni ne keka ho atumu dia ade ba ko a aba beda emu a yentimi nhunuye a no so eboa ni se nyina aka se ne ebeye we ya no nko benkromo ho na abehu se Dabi na we say there Ghana ha koso pa
na je say democracy ni the division ana aba okay
na say ntino se kadma min kabi na kadma min kabi no obia wo se ne ositi democracy na se ehu se ne ohu eniema fa human rights kro ebe mu ebe bo ayen se be tan yen se be bo ayen no eni kwa na aba abesa asem efiza ade bi wo ha ye ma no me de enya ma me nti me ntwima no onso betwa ma eni ahwa nti ene no ye fuaso ebedru mrebi no ye ntimi ntue nan ema mpuntu obi ama because ade bi ebebe bia no obi a wo sene obesi ahwa a ode befa ye next video no esre
okay
banzo ehia pa se ye behwe ni yi
okay
enkofo bi kosi aso o mu twa group picture na group picture no ene nipa na o msenzo o metwa picture no no so sene ere nso e kan o hada bia no cheese everybody say cheese wa ga ba ko say me vegetarian where the food from na me nkasa mama mo the gist of it ya
yeah go ahead next video na ba na we bisa set title for the day abusia because I was set title no Ishmael ne azeke bisa se mu de he na Abraham sacrifice no na the subtitle no say the democracy akrepo religion and on common guso enu de no please I'm Kofi from Nzema Sylvester brother greetings to all the two wise men may ya increase your years on earth. Okay, we also say good afternoon. I'm Dominic from Asamankasi Eastern region. I want to say how far to my dear father Mepacho Yenyana and Chia Ewaha intended Mikasom. Was it please, is it true or not that Osagefo was the one who led Ghana to the UN after independence and signed us onto their charters? Again, is it true or not that Martin Luther King Jr. was a Christian pastor who believed in universal adult suffrage, which is a tent of democracy? So why keep them as the movement icon? I'm saying chance right. Next video no I will say the pretty much explains the world today. And no any message the pretty much explains the world today.
Gotta get in. Oh, wait on. I'll just ask this guy. Excuse me. Would you mind taking a photo of us?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody say cheese.
Oh, actually, I'm a vegan. Could you please have us say something else?
Okay, everybody say tofu.
Tofu is actually not as good for you as vegans think. Any CrossFitter will tell you that. It's bad for your testosterone levels.
Okay, I'm sorry. How about we all just smile?
Oh, if one more asshole asks me to smile.
Not really an arsehole. Taking a photo for you, so...
What's there to smile about anyway?
Okay. Would you like me to just count backwards from 3?
Oh, would you like dyslexic people to just not exist?
My cousin has dyslexia, so offended.
Adopted. Don't even know who my cousins are, so more offended.
How about this? We all put a word we're comfortable with in our heads, and I'll get the shot.
No, it doesn't sound very inclusive, though, does it? I suppose you'd like us all to stand a few metres apart, would you, Stalin?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I don't see what religion has to do with this.
Well, I'm an atheist, so majorly triggered.
Is that a comment on the gun debate? Still trying to control people.
But it's not just the people. Has anyone thought about the animals?
Look, this is what we're going to do. Everybody throw up a peace sign, and I'll take a photo.
Wow. Cultural appropriation is alive and well. Why don't you just ask us to say kung fu?
Guess what? New plan, group selfie, ready, set, go, boom. And looks awesome. You're going to love it.
Wait.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, you took it with the front camera, you
stupid. Na ye ka dia hyem kana me hu se ne ba bi wi ase ne kono de obi ade ba na de obi aka bia no obi sori tia nti obi a won fa ho die ene ne human rights bebrebe abayo nti we yen ka say cheese no o se da bi ono vegetarian said of akan no yen ka tofe a we se buwe wono so onya akwara na wadi tofe yen yesi a we si say okoka Jesus crampo de obi se picture bi ka no e fa so ho ben so we te chese wiase no dia kono ase de obeka bia be obi